I'm back with my new video lecture that's on principles of educational management. But before we discuss, let's have a look what our previous video was about. There we discussed what educational management is, its importance and functions as well. Today we'll discuss now the principles of educational management. It was, Henry Fayol, who was a French refinery engineer and also known as the father of administrative management, or you can say the father of general administration. He also developed a theory of business administration, which is often called as Fayolism. You don't need to go through the theory of Fayolism. I'll just for a knowledge, I'll tell you what the theory is about. Fayolism is a theory of management that analyzed and synthesized the role of management in organizations, and he's widely acknowledged as the founder of modern management method. And he has identified 14 principles of management, but we don't need to read all the 14 principles of management. Only few of his principles can be used in education, and we'll discuss all these principles that can be used in education one by one. So the first principle is the division of work. It's very simple that how the division of this principle works in a classroom setting, simply by dividing the classroom work among the teachers and the students. And this subdivision of labor would make the work simpler, and it would result in greater efficiency too. And this will also help the students in acquiring the speed along with the accuracy in their performance. This is how the division of work principle works in a classroom setting. Second principle is our authority and responsibility. Authority and responsibility coexist in the classroom. Authority means to give command and receive the obedience, and responsibility simply means when a person is accountable for the duties assigned to him. Now, how this principle works in a classroom, it's very simple that in a classroom, this authority and responsibility, it can be maintained by appointing the class representative and giving him the responsibility of maintaining better classroom environment, especially when the teacher is absent. And if when you give this kind of authority or responsibility to a student, he should always be made responsible for exercising such authority. That's very important as far as this principle is concerned. The next principle is the discipline. Discipline is a prerequisite. It's a prerequisite for the maintenance of teaching-learning process, for the maintenance of teaching-learning atmosphere in the classroom. And there should be sincerity, there should be obedience, respect of authority, and observance of rules and regulations of the institution, which is very important as far as this principle is concerned. Next is an order. This principle is concerned with the proper and systematic arrangement of things and people. Likewise, order must be maintained in the classroom too. And there should be safe, there should be appropriate and a specific place for every article which is needed while teaching. And every place has to be effectively and optimally used for teaching. And the most important thing in order is that you should always maintain a social order, especially with the appointments of the most deserving and suitable teachers for teaching students. Next is an initiative. Initiative means eagerness. It means eagerness to initiate the actions without being asked to do so. And in a classroom setting, all the students should be encouraged. They should be motivated to take the initiative in the classroom activities. And here, teacher plays a very important role. They should always provide opportunities to students to suggest the new ideas, to suggest the experiences and innovative methods of teaching as well. And this would help in developing an atmosphere of mutual understanding and trust in the classroom. Next is the subordination of individual interest to general interest. In order to achieve this attitude in the classroom situation, it's very essential that students should be honest and sincere towards their school. They should be taught that interest of the school is important than the personal interest, and they should also be made ready to sacrifice their personal interest for the good of the institution. Not always, but at least in times of need. And only a teacher can do this. A teacher can bring this kind of attitude. Only it's only possible when a teacher is enjoying a permanent position in the institution. Otherwise, why would a teacher do this, right? So the next principle is equity. Equity means combination of fairness. It means kindness and just. It just is a combination of fairness, kindness, and justice. So equity is very essential to create and maintain a cordial relations between the teacher and the students. You know, but this does not always mean the total absence of harshness. If we apply the Fayol's logic, there should not be any kind of discrimination by the teacher on the basis of age, caste, gender, religion in the classroom. And discrimination-free environment would always create a cordial relation between the teacher and the student. However, this relationship should always contain some elements of harshness and toughness, which is very important, and it should be on the part of the teacher, which is very necessary for improving and bringing the positive change in the behavior of the students. Next is the esprit de corps, which is a French term which means union is strength. And in a classroom situation, students should always be encouraged to develop the informal relations among themselves, and effort should always be made to create enthusiasm and keenness so that they can work to their maximum potential. Here, a teacher plays an important role, and teacher should infuse the team spirit and belongingness among the students. And highly effective students should also be rewarded here, but this doesn't mean that the students who are not up to the mark, they should be discouraged, but they should also be given a chance to improve the performance. And students should be made conscious that whatever they are doing is of great importance to the society. This would there would be a proper coordination of work in the class, which would be a great step in the betterment in the better classroom management as well. Perhaps the last one, I think. Yeah, it's the last one. It's the unity of direction. Now, this principle can be used for the better classroom management, and it should be made clear to all the students that teaching learning process, that is a combined effort for the achievement of common goal, and all the efforts of the teacher and the student, they are only for the betterment of students and for their overall development. So this should be made clear to all the students that it's only for the betterment of their overall development. So these were the 9 principles that we discussed that can be used in education. Now I'll tell you how you can easily remember all these 9 principles. Sometimes it makes it very difficult to remember, but I'll just tell you an easy way to remember all these principles. You just have to remember one sentence, that is, Dad, oh, I see you. This is how I actually remember all these principles. Now I'm sharing this with you, where D stands for division of work, A, authority and responsibility, and D, discipline. O, in order, I, initiative, S, subordination of individual interest to general interest, E, equity, esprit de corps, and U, unity of direction. We discussed all these principles, and in our next lecture we'll be discussing the administration, because management, we covered everything in educational management. Our next video lecture will be on educational administration.